Andromeda is the latest game from Bioware, and it's kind of a spin-off sequel thing to the Mass Effect trilogy, and it's set 600 years later in a completely different galaxy because Mass Effect 3 screwed everything up. So all of the races in the galaxy teamed up for an unspecified reason you'll find out in the plot to leave the Milky Way galaxy and go settle in the Andromeda galaxy. You play a Pathfinder whose job is it to make sure planets are habitable and make the decisions for humanity, I guess. After the humans arrive, it turns out the galaxy is in pretty bad shape and it's now your job to fix everything. Time to talk shit about this game, it's not good. I'm a big fan of the original trilogy. I hated the ending of Mass Effect 3, of course, like anybody with an intelligence did. At least that game was playable. I had to force myself through this game. The story is about exploration, but over half the places you find have already been settled. There's absolutely no sense of pacing to the plot. It just feels like you're going through the motions until the last mission, which is surprisingly well done for what it is. The story takes place in a whole new galaxy, but there's only 2 new races, and they take 10 away from the last galaxy. So this game overall felt a lot emptier than the last trilogy. Speaking of empty, whenever you land on a planet, half of the map is dead space with absolutely nothing to do in it. Almost all of the side quests are fetch quests with absolutely no impact on the plot, with no choices involved. Other games suffer from that problem too. I don't like it there either, so. Squadmates in this one even pale in comparison to even Mass Effect 1. You have generic dude cop Liam, who's just a generic bro. He constantly whines and screws up and makes inappropriate comments during combat, like saying cheesy things like, "Oh, that guy's mad at me because I shot him." You have Cora, who has a bad case of resting bitch face. All Cora does is whine about not being a Pathfinder and also being a fangirl of the Asari. You have not Rex, named Drac this time. You have what would happen if Jennifer Lawrence played an Asari. She's named Peebee, who's trying way too hard to be quirky. You have Vetra, who's basically female Garrus, for the Archangel version of Garrus. The only interesting squadmate is one of the members of the new race, Angara, named Jaal, who's emotional, vulnerable. I mean, I don't like his character that much, but at least he's different than what we've had before. He's also really funny, he gives you better insight to the Angara. The majority of the time in this game you only get 2 dialogue choices, emotional, logical, and they both lead you to the exact same thing, which I've tested. I saved the game and reloaded, chose a different dialogue option, same thing happens every time. You can't even customize your squad mates anymore. You can't even give them different weapons or give them different outfits or armor. You also can't command them in combat. Why would you take that away from the player? The bad guy's lame. You can't empathize with him like you could with Saren, who is an actually interesting character. They do a retread of the Prothean storyline. They have this ancient race that left all this ancient technology behind that you have to access and find. Everybody's talking crap about the animation, about the facial animations. There's hundreds of videos all over the internet talking crap about it. So I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon and do that too. They're freaking terrible. Everybody has googly eyes. Their faces are plastic. Their faces just don't move. Like from here up, they don't move. They have no expression. They're blank slates. For example, Cora finds out that someone she looked up to betrayed the Asari or whatever, but she has no emotion. She is kind of smirking when she finds out. No facial expression, no appropriate facial expression. The game was developed by the Bioware B team, Bioware Montreal. I think Bioware Edmonton made the good ones. They developed the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, so that's who I would trust with my AAA franchise and my story-based game, the guys who made the multiplayer. But the combat is actually pretty good when it doesn't glitch. You have a lot more freedom than you did in the last trilogy where you had the class restrictions that gave you the powers. But I'm always a biotic wizard anyway, so I stuck with that. My playthrough was riddled with glitches. Spawning across the map, enemies that aren't supposed to be invisible being invisible. One time I fell through the ship, just fell into space. I also wasn't able to do missions. I couldn't open a door unless I reloaded a save. And then sometimes the doors don't even open. Did Bioware just cut their quality assurance team out of their budget? How the hell did this game get released? I can't even say this game was a disappointment because after the ending of Mass Effect 3 I hated Bioware. Dragon Age Inquisition won me back a little bit, but even that game doesn't have a lot of replayability. Because how tedious it is. I wanted the game to be good. The combat looked good. I was hesitant, but I wanted it to be good. The game pretty much solidified that Bioware is a shell of their former selves, and they're never going to reach that height again. I can't even recommend that you get this game at the Redbox just to try out the combat because it takes the longest time to make any progression in the story or do anything fun and interesting. Just don't play this game. Play the trilogy, it's pretty good. Bye.